Rocket Queen. I can't believe you guys don't know that song.
She's a rocket queen.
She's a rocket queen.
She's a rocket queen.
Yeah. And that's the best part. It's that outro, that whole outro part of the song, which is just awesome. So you guys should go and look it up on Spotify. You'll love it. It's one of those tunes toward the bottom of the album song list that most people, I mean, yeah, Welcome to the Jungle, all that stuff, everyone knows that, but
so I was really thinking Foo Fighters. So a good friend of mine, Elaine, she got invited to a secret concert last night here in Seattle. We had this Key Arena, which was where the Sonics used to play basketball, and then Bezos spent a bunch of money, and now it's called Climate Pledge Arena, and it's going to be where the Kraken plays hockey. So anyway, last night there was a secret Foo Fighters Death Cab from Cutie concert.
Wow.
And look, I mean, some of these pictures, and actually we got some video here too. Hang on. Just because.
This is going to look great.
Rob is complaining about your song.
That's pretty good. That looks like a smartphone with an Apple M1 chip.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish. I really thought this was a cool phone until a couple of days ago.
But I mean, how Leonard has an Apple M1 Max behind him before it gets into the shop.
I love that thing.
Yeah.
You guys are funny.
I mean, I think he might have the 1 in Roman numerals without the actual M in that thing.
Yeah. I don't even think there's an M. I don't even think there's a 1 in the chip that's in that thing, right? The old Motorola.
It came in decimal points.
Yeah. So, hey, welcome to IoT Coffee Talk.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What are we going to be talking about?
Why don't we talk about the M1 Pro and the M1 Max?
Oh, no.
How's that going to help IoT?
Oh, Jesus. Well, actually, it has implications on a lot of stuff, including IoT.
Well, I want to access my IoT dashboard a little bit quicker on my $2,000 MacBook Pro Max. So there's one.
Sounds good.
Like I mean, gosh, anybody watching that event, and we, obviously after the iPhone event earlier, which was, hi, I'm Tim Cook, and today I'm presenting the most incremental upgrade in the history of Apple, the iPhone 13. But then, this M1 Max and Pro, oh my God. It's like, hi, we just created a supercomputer that we're going to put on your laptop, and it's faster than anything you've ever seen ever. And everyone's looking at their current laptops and going, oh, man, is that a 386? What is this thing? All of a sudden, everybody's in trouble. And it doesn't matter if you're making laptops or desktop PCs, none of them come close to the performance of what we just saw. That was unbelievable.
Yeah, and it's not all about speed. It's, performance per watt, right? I mean, that's like the important metric. And guess what? That's the IoT metric. That's what's important for, compute in IoT devices. So, but that's that whole dynamic.
I will discuss about this. I will disagree with you today.
Okay, cool.
But first, I need to think a couple of things. First of all, I think it's a win for ARM architectures, right? I think I remember I read like 5-6 years ago, an article on Wired that was saying that Intel was trying to get into the mobile phones ecosystem. That was hot at that moment. and they were trying to get into the IoT with Intel Edison. And I think that's very complex now. If even the PCs and the servers go with ARM architectures, not only mobile phones and IoT. But on the other hand, something that is interesting, it's that containers are not ready yet for ARM architectures. Docker is not ready at some point. So this is a discussion that we can have in another moment. But it's super interesting how ARM position their architectures everywhere, and it looks like they are winning. I'm not sure what Intel or someone else have under their hood.
Yeah, I mean, Intel, actually, I wouldn't count Intel out, especially in the data center. And there are certain types of high performance PC compute, like the upper end of things like gaming, they can go 3D. They have really great packaging technology, right? So when you look at what they'll be able to do through their fabs, they're going to be able to do some competitive things. They're going to certainly be challenged just because of the x86 architecture. That'll be a bit of a constraint, but I mean, there's no doubt Intel, and hey, look, a lot of people pick on Intel. It's not just Intel, it's ARM, it's NVIDIA, it's like everybody who has to be freaking out going, how the hell did these guys take, this smartphone chip, right? That originally was, I mean, basically funded by the Newton, right? I mean, Steve Jobs funded basically Acorn computers, right? And they, I mean, you know what? They invested in this thing for all the way back then. And they, I think they've always had this in the back of their minds that this is what they're going to do. And it's insane. But you know what was crazy? They go, oh, here's the M1 Pro. Yeah. And you go, dang. It's like, how did you guys do that in just, a few quarters, like a couple of quarters? Then you go, oh, by the way, we have something else for you. The Max. And it's like, holy, that was the point where I went, you gotta be frigging kidding me, because they're like going parabolic, I mean, they're like hyperbolic at that point. I mean, they're just like, I'm like, Absolutely. It's not just a tiny little step change. We're talking about like, wow, you guys are in just a couple of quarters taking this stuff stratospheric, it's pretty crazy.
Coincidence? That I think I was looking for the original article, but I couldn't find it. But ARM just released this virtualized version of of their chip, so you can start developing virtually before you get your hands on the hardware. And I was wondering if that was just a coincidence, with the release date with Apple and M1, or I mean, either way, this helps us. As an industry, that these two guys are trying to, put the horsepower out there for folks to leverage it.
Yeah, that thing is a little bit different. And it's also different from what you guys are doing at Balena with containers on embedded devices. You know what? That's just a digital model, it's just a digital model of the board. And what you do is you just, build your software, and then you test it against a digital model. Yeah, it's just prototyping. And so the great thing about it is that it changes the whole product development lifecycle, because you can basically use this virtual board to do your software design before you complete your chip design and tape out. Do you know what I'm saying? And so
if we say in marketing that you can deploy virtually, we'll call them out, right?
Yeah, this is the thing. They call it cloud native and all this stuff, but it's not actually cloud native in its implementation. It's still software that gets deployed natively on that ARM chip. That's different from what you guys are doing in Balena, right? Balena, you guys are actually deploying a container runtime, like a Docker, and then you're doing some stuff post deployment. You're supporting like the whole DevOps kind of model of CI/CD, as well as enabling the SDLC, right? The software development lifecycle for applications that get deployed on embedded systems. That's totally different than, and I consider that on like endpoint computing stuff that Belén is doing versus what ARM's doing, which is they're just supporting. They're using prototyping to accelerate the product development lifecycle, or the software development lifecycle, or system development lifecycle is more.
You just had to like bring up Docker.
Yeah, I know.
I don't want to talk about any negative stuff, but is Docker even going to survive? They haven't been working out now for quite a few years.
But it's an open source technology. Who cares if the company survives? I mean, if there is a community behind that maintains that.
If there is, yeah, I agree. But the commercial part of Docker is collapsing and has been for a few years. And so, and that's well known in the media that Docker's not making it. The Kubernetes folks aren't worried about that. It's just another container technology. Other people can do that. So yeah, it's interesting. I know we all casually have had Docker be synonymous with containers because it was so easy, but maybe we shouldn't. Also, the way I heard early days when people said microservices in every other word they said Docker was synonymous with microservices, which is not the case. That's a design pattern, but I don't know. It's interesting, because I read stuff all the time about the Docker company barely on life support. So I don't know what that means for the open source version. Who knows?
Yeah, I think it's open source, and I think that the community is huge.
Yeah.
So that shouldn't be a problem if a lot of people contribute on that.
Yeah.
Maybe we do a Docker rebranding and go from the big whale to like a fishbone. Is that what you're saying, Marc?
It looks like a fishbone.
That's a cool name. That's a cool name.
Fishbone.
It's a great group too.
Fishbone containers.
Oh my God, those guys.
I think the concept of container it's really interesting, right? And the boat with containers really explains how does it work. On the other hand, this was designed for cloud computing, so it's interesting how it evolved into IoT, and it's really working on IoT. Actually, but some of at least on Belina, it only works for single board computers. So you need some minimum requirements if you want to run containers. We have Belina Engine, that is our container engine, but it's based on Moby, which is a lightweight version of Docker. And then we made like something specific as Docker. It's not ready for IoT. But we adapt Moby to make it more efficient and very performant on IoT, on memory, on Delta. So now it's interesting that you see that containers of 5 gigabytes. So you don't download like 5 gigabytes. You only download like the bits and bytes that are different from previous releases to the new releases.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is something that Belina makes. But I think containers, are really good. Not sure what's the problem with M1 processors, to be honest, with Docker. I don't know if it's a software that it's only running on x86. But the good part, for example, for Belina on IoT on single board computers is that it's compatible with x86 and ARM devices. So you can have the code once and deploy it on different architecture types. Yeah. And that's as well something super interesting.
That's cool.
I'll give you a simple answer to, Apple's not selling the M1 to anyone else but themselves, and so I think where the industry gets a lot of things wrong is trying to create this war between Apple and everyone else. It's like, Apple kind of does what the hell they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they always
there's nothing you can do about it. You know what I'm saying? It's like you can whine about it if you're outside of that I don't know if you want to call it walled garden. I think that's a misnomer, a misconception. But they just do what they do. They're just there. Intel has to worry about AMD. They have to worry about NVIDIA. NVIDIA has to worry about they have to worry about each other. They can't do anything about Apple.
Right. So I'm going to put on my analyst hat right now and make a prediction. I tweeted it, and a lot of people saw it when the event was going on with the M1. I said, "Oh my God, it's so much faster. It is like a quantum leap." And I think Apple's going to create their own public cloud. Putting the M1 Max and everything that comes after it onto Apple servers, and they'll build a public cloud that's so much faster. The compute is so much faster, so much more energy efficient than all the other big hyperscalers, that they should be. Well, and I know a lot of them are working on building their own chips instead of relying on Intel as well. I know that's going on. And people are like, some other analyst friends of mine, they're like, it's inevitable. They're absolutely going to build a cloud. The whole point about they're not selling to anyone else, the reason they're so much better is because they are vertically integrated and they control the whole stack. And so it is super optimized in a way that someone with different PCs and other things with technology from a million different people can't be. And so I'm predicting Apple will come out with a public cloud and it'll be so much faster. The compute. And so they're going to charge a price, and then people are going to look at GCP and AWS and Azure and go, how come your servers are 17x faster than this Intel server, that's running in your cloud?
But let me agree to disagree with you. What was that?
Do you mean Apple TV and Apple Music for public servers, or what do you mean?
I mean like pass layer services, like the real public cloud.
I was joking.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me agree to disagree with you. I don't think they're going to do that. What they're going to do is they are going to deploy servers. They're going to convert the stuff into server stuff, but it's going to be an entire data center that is based entirely on Apple Silicon, and they're going to have a TCO, right? A cost structure that is going to increase the margin of their digital services to a point where no one else can compete. Because the thing, and that's why I think you see AWS, and the thing is AWS, Google, they're dealing with hardware fragmentation, and just it's a mess. And the economics of their operations actually is not what people think. Everyone thinks that this is such a huge high margin business. It's not. And I mean, if you think about what they've done with their financials lately, they've all of them, Microsoft, Google, and AWS have extended their depreciation schedules on their servers from 3 to 5 years, which to me actually doesn't make any sense, because if you have a server in a data center, you're working that thing a hell of a lot more than if it was sitting in an enterprise rack or DC. You're running at like maybe 10, 15% on average a day. The whole cloud game is you have to basically have these servers running at least 50%, And so I would say, okay, if the way that enterprises depreciate services over a 3-year period, if it's in a hyperscale data center, it should only be like 1 year, and you have to consider that technology continues to advance. So the hardware is getting obsoleted much faster. And Apple can improve the economics of that tremendously if they just go full stack with all that stuff in their data center. So, and they don't need to share that.
Let's just talk about
that business.
Let's talk about the economics. Business. Let's talk about the economics and laws of big numbers. When you're a giant company bigger than everyone else on the planet, like Apple is, it's harder and harder to get those 10 to 20% growth rate, because it requires you to sell so much more.
Yeah.
And so in order to keep that stock price going, Apple's going to have to do something bigger than they've ever done before. And I think launching an Apple Cloud is going to be what it's going to do. And they'll have data centers all around the world running their MX, M Pro, whatever.
You could be
technology.
very well. So that's a really interesting point, because who they could be selling it to are developers and through their app stores. That service, that platform, because think about it. A lot of the cloud services, they won't go to AWS anymore. So yeah, I think you might be right. But for a lot of these developers who are in the Apple ecosystem, it's an entire, let's say, hardware, software to platform stack integration that'll just beat the crap out of it. They won't want to go to AWS. They won't want to go to Google, GCP.
But why Apple wants to get into the infrastructure as a service world? I mean, I don't see them on any as a service, X as a service thing.
They already do it.
With what?
They do it with their whole Xcode, their whole developer platforms. I mean, they're already in that.
But this is not something as a service, right? They sell like a license, a one-shot license, or a yearly license, but doesn't include anything as a service, right? Maybe a testing platform.
Oh, I mean, iCloud as a service. iCloud as a service. A lot of people pay for it. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, but this is not infrastructure as a service. It's a service itself, right?
And that's a good discussion. To Marc's point, there's more to building a cloud. And I had people on Twitter going, "Dude, there's a lot more to building a cloud than just raw horsepower." I'm like, "You're right. I got to help build one at Microsoft." And but you know what? The folks at Apple are smart, and they'll figure it out. And we now have 3 hyperscalers who've done it, and so I'm sure Apple will be able to get plenty of engineers from those companies to come to Apple to build this new thing that's just going to be faster, leaner, meaner. Also, guys, there's ripple effects. There's other network effects here too with other things. Programming languages. This sounds really obscure. If there's a platform out there and writing to that platform with a particular programming language means it's 17x or whatever faster than anything else, developers may be inclined to go in that direction. So you mentioned Xcode. Obviously we've had Objective-C and we've had Swift on the Apple platforms. Going back to Next, right? I can imagine a scenario. Do you remember Steve Jobs when people are saying, "Oh, you're going to put Java on this or Flash?" And he's like, "No, I'm not going to put that crap on my devices because it's slow and everything." And I bet you they'd say that about Kubernetes and a lot of other stuff that slows down the speed. Yeah. And so not only I think they're going to build a cloud, but I think it's going to pull developers into their orbit in a way they've never done before. Developers are building iPhone apps like crazy, but I think they'll use the tooling and languages that Apple for the most optimized kind of C++ type performance that's tuned to the M1 Max kind of architecture that they're doing. I think there's going to be ripple effects all over the industry.
But why do you need a faster application if the CPU is faster?
Well, yes, Mr. Python, that's a great question. Oh my gosh.
This is really good, by the way.
Our
disagreements always yield some great crap. So
scalability and performance, when you have, obviously not everybody. Did you read an article the other day that said, hey, if you stuck with C and C++ programming all this time, like hedge funds will pay you $700,000 a year as a developer to build that stuff because every bit of performance is essential. And no other programming languages come close. But guess what? It's a lot harder to use too, which is why you have languages like Google Go, which is easier but super fast. I think when I talk about scalability and performance are interlinked. Your ability to get in, execute some kind of task, a process, a function, and get out. If you do that faster, your time slice on the CPU goes, and it totally relates to scalability. if it takes you longer, chugga, 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 Python, chugga, 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 then you can't scale out as much and have as many guys all doing their stuff all at the same time. And so,
but I'm not sure that the bottlenecks on IoT applications or cloud applications are in there, are in the CPUs of the data centers or the microcontrollers so usually bottlenecks are somewhere else. Maybe on that software developed it's scrap, maybe on connectivity, maybe on databases. So, well, that's my experience. But yeah, of course,
it's never on connectivity. Connectivity is always awesome, man. So just talk to your developers, fix that garbage code, and leave. The network is fine.
People will be rewriting. Their databases, message queues, language stacks, web servers to be tuned to this new Apple stack that's going to run in their public cloud that is coming.
I predict that I'm going to spend at least half of my Saturday trying to figure out which Mac Edge, Mac Cloud.
Sorry, gentlemen, I need to leave. It was a pleasure.
You do?
Bye, Marc.
Have a good day.
Bye.
All right, see you, man.
Adios.
I'm gonna see which Apple data center domains are still available in GoDaddy, and I'm gonna go shopping.
Oh yeah!
In my scheme to get, I want to be Rob Tiffany rich soon.
Oh come on! What are you talking about? You want to try to be Stephanie Atkinson rich? She's the one that like brokers.
Yes. I want a ranch. Hi, Stephanie.
Yes.
Virtually.
Yeah, domain name. She's a domain name trader. Yeah.
She is. That's pretty cool stuff. I think this is an interesting conversation.
Totally.
I think, well, like, obviously, Leonard, you've talked a lot about the Intel CEO recently and some of the discussions around what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I just read an article where he basically just threw all his predecessors under the bus for Intel's failures. Where he commented, he goes, what did he say? The last 2 or so CEOs were not engineers, they're sales guys or they're whatever. This is stuff I see happen all the time in companies. Yeah. When you hand the reins over to a sales guy or a whatever marketing person who is a rainmaker and like, we're going to make so much money, and it kills the culture, the engineering culture. And so he's like, an engineer is back in charge, and Intel's going to go back to what it's all about, an engineering company, which I think is great. And they've got a lot of work to do, and he knows they do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I think the good thing about Pat is I don't know about all this throwing people under the bus stuff. I mean, quite honestly, I thought the strategy, I don't know what part he played in the strategy, but the strategy that Bob Swan had kind of framed before he left made a hell of a lot of sense. This whole stuff about heterogeneous compute, the idea of XPU, focusing on packaging technologies, 3D, stacking, all that stuff, it made total sense. It's great stuff. These play into Intel's advantages. And, the whole process node thing, the manufacturing, okay. Intel is still pretty competitive there. But, I other than this whole IDM 2.0 thing, which I'm sure didn't just become a thing because of Pat, it's a great idea, and we'll see how it goes. But it's a lot of capital expenditures that Intel has to make. And the question is, what problems are you really going to solve, and how is it really going to help your competitiveness long term? But there is a lot in this IDM 2.0 play that people need to meditate on. It's not as simple of a concept as I think it's been portrayed, but there's a lot of potential in helping Intel kind of reconstitute its position in the industry. But man, it's like a lot of my Intel buddies say, execution is everything. And that's what's going to be important. And, we'll see if Pat can pull it off. I'm not 1,000% confident that he can, but we'll see.
It's a tall order. Hey, let's talk. I just had another ripple effect thing pop in my head. So because we need to bring our
very Ripley today.
I am Ripley. We need to bring our telecom friends back into the conversation.
Bring, like, aliens.
So,
let's do it.
So let's do it. All right.
Okay, Ripley.
What happens when you think about the M1 Max and telecom gear and kit?
Do you read the thoughts coming through my bald head?
Hello. Who doesn't? Who, if you're Ericsson, Huawei, Nokia, Samsung, any of those players, who doesn't want that kind of performance in their networking gear? And Cisco wants it too.
I mean, and the question is, let me go buy $3,000 worth of kit, $3,000. And what can I do? Because all this stuff, this is virtualized already. I have all these tools. What can I continue to shrink and, leverage this horsepower? How do I get, let me start tinkering today.
6G.
6G.
Yes. Yes, 6G, baby.
Well, it's a lot of different things coming together. It's not just RAN over the air. It's the whole stack, right? That has to get faster in every way. And so anybody who just watched that and they're an engineer at one of those companies I just mentioned, they might be thinking, oh my God, we could really dramatically speed up the throughput and the of getting, data through, wireless networks and backhaul and front haul and everything else. How can you not be thinking about that?
But if Apple's not gonna, hook the community up, how am I gonna have the, M1 Pro version of a UCP of an x86 on steroids?
Well, I'll tell you how it's going to happen, because your CEO, Hans Vesterberg, is friends with Tim Cook and has been on stage with him. And I'm sure he can go, hey, Tim, I'm coming to Cupertino because we need to have a chat.
Dude, he is so lit, man.
Right?
I'm doing the impersonation this week. My guy, the other guy, bam.
Hey, what's business? Hey, what's one of the most important things about business and sales? It's personal relationships, right?
There you go.
And so Hans going to call, Hans, booby. Yeah. And he's going to call up Tim. And he's like, dude, we need that gear in our stuff. I guarantee you the Open RAN guys are going, if we had that horsepower, that would offset the slowness of our software-based stack that we're doing Open RAN with. I mean, everybody's got to be licking their chops. And if they're not, shame on all of you.
This is an open invitation for tinkering and iterating.
Yes. In fact, right now, I'm just going to tell all of you folks who are missing the ball here, here's my Venmo account number. You could just start sending the millions my way as a thank you for all the bombs I'm dropping on you today to revolutionize everything, for real.
Knowledge.
He's carpet bombing, dude.
And I think you should be named on every patent. I mean, you're just giving it out there, man.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Absolutely.
Dude. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
You're so reckless, man. Just friggin' carpet bombing us with Buddha knowledge, man. That's like friggin'.
That's what it is.
Ridiculous.
We're napalming the shit out of you guys, man. Exactly.
Oh my God. It's like apple Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
I mean, we'll see. Like sticking.
It is pretty scary stuff.
Rob's prediction. It is scary because just recently. I mean, this is public, so I guess we can share names. So
it's all public stuff.
You had Schneider put out a super cool, edge on-prem compute solution for their customers, to do the things that we've been talking about, the cloud and hybrid cloud and on-prem and the edge. And, they're delivering their kit. And I'm just wondering, again, what are the ripple effects that, folks in this, edge business are going to have to think or rethink about with this horsepower that Apple has put out? Like we're all going to have to deal with it, in our own niche ways, because customers are going to just ask different questions. It's like, hold on, I'm looking at what these guys are doing over there. I'm looking at your offering, like, they're it's about processing, and these guys are fast. Like, what are we doing? Where's your version? Where's your max version? Where's your pro version? And, and we start thinking about these things as if they were consumer gadgets, like our line of questioning gets consumerized really quickly. So
dude, you know who else is making a phone call right now?
Who?
Satya Nadella is calling Pat and Intel and saying, bruh,
original Windows phone like this?
Yes, just like that. And Satya's like, dude.
Hold out, dude.
He's like, Pat, bruh, I just launched Windows 11 and I need Windows 11 to run as fast as what everybody just saw at that Apple event because they just went into another solar system. I'm the pressure's on, man.
The Surface stuff.
Rebranded.
I think everybody wants to. Yeah,
that's it. M11.
But and look. It's like I said. For everybody else who's not Apple, you just tell your customers, look, they're Apple. Let's talk about the real world. You just
the world is what we make of it, man.
Look, you know what? They don't need to share this stuff because it's the ultimate competitive advantage. It just has tremendous legs for them. And the shock to everyone in the industry is, wow, these guys have been able to scale out this thing in terms of performance beyond what anyone's expected. I mean, it's that Max thing. They didn't need to go there. But what's even scarier is think about what the 2 is going to be, the M2. I was hoping that they were going to release just give me an M1 chip iMac with a bigger screen and I'm sold. When they went Max, I'm like, dude, I'm going to get a Pro because this sucker is going to be scary. And just like my other Macs, even though this is running on an Intel chip, it's going to last me for a long time. If I get this new one, it'll change everything, it'll adapt to how computing and software and applications are going to change over the next decade, because we keep thinking in terms of software in traditional PC computing terms. That Apple's bringing mobility, all that, hybrid software applications that blend, conventional or traditional software with the AI stuff. They're
well, buy it yesterday and you might get it for Christmas.
No, I think it's going to be March of next year.
Okay, here's what else I'm predicting. All right, so this is a well-known meme picture that is used for everything ever. So what's going to happen is the guy's girlfriend is going to say, 11th generation core from Intel, and then the girl in the red over here, she's going to be M1 Max. That's the new meme.
I mean, okay, here I'll take a big bet. Like, that's already out there.
I'm sure it's already out there.
It is absolutely out there.
So funny.
If I was Mark Zuckerberg, who's going to change the name of Facebook next week to build his metaverse, if you're not building your metaverse on top of the M1 platform, you're out of luck.
Oh, bruh.
Bruh.
Oh, bruh. Hey, you know what? Here's funny. This is why I've been watching YouTubes lately. And dude, so, there's been an evolution of the term brother. Hey, my, brother, right?
Yeah.
So it's gone from, man, that was awesome, right, brother? To brother, to, bruv. In the UK, they use bruv. And then there's bro. And then now they say brr. So that's what you need to say now to be hip, not bro.
No, I didn't say bro. I said bruh. Like B-R.
Bruh. Oh, okay. And then there's bruh. And then there's brr.
Bruh.
Leonard, you spend so much time, like putting Apple in context, how they're, exponentially just becoming amazing. And then you hit us with this fully formed human language word, brother, to this blah. I mean, what is happening to us?
That's what I'm saying. It's like we're declining. On one hand, we're declining.
Yeah. But what have we done? We predicted the next 30 years of Apple trajectory. So to recap, everybody, Apple's already on top of the planet with what they got. but they're the $2 trillion company, but they have to increase revenue dramatically each quarter, each year to keep that stock price chugging along, or it's just going to plateau. So step one, we're going to call it the M-class public cloud from Apple, not to be confused with M-class planets from Star Trek. And I'm going to definitely sign up for the beta to be on the M-class platform. So Apple's going to use, because guess what?
Oh my God.
If you went to the flying saucer ring in Cupertino, you know what's in the middle? Big piles of cash. And so they're going to take all this cash and they're going to build data centers on that architecture everywhere. And they're going to build networking gear on that architecture. And they're going to put everybody else out of business really quickly, too. Actually, people actually do have a few years before the end times come for them. So you have a little time to breathe, maybe stock up on food for the apocalypse or whatever. But then they'll do that. And so this is what takes them to the next level. And then, yes, they're going to talk to all the telecom folks. They're going to talk to people I work for and people David works for. And then we're going to put that stuff in networking gear. And that's how we're going to get to this ridiculous fast 6G stuff that everybody's like, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what I'm saying, talking about. And then that's going to take them even higher. We're going to have their stuff everywhere. And everyone else is going to be crying like a little baby.
David, we're cutting him off from coffee. There's no way. You're not allowed to drink coffee before we start. Before I hit that record button ever again.
At least Rob left the auto industry out of Apple's eyeball, because that's the next one. After they eat us up,
actually,
Apple Car.
That you know what?
Yes.
Call it with your watch. Let's see, we're at 7. It will be, by the time there's a Apple 10 watch, it'll be like, car, come get me.
Well, yes, those autonomous cars needed to react really fast to make decisions. What better way to do that than put M technology into your car?
Oh, I know.
Oh my God, that's huge.
Well,
it's huge.
I mean, you want to talk about like a threat to Mobileye and what NVIDIA is doing, and
Pharrell's.
You know, the GPU only can go so far. You know, I mean, but yeah, dude, it's pretty. You know, here's the thing: when you push stuff this far into the future in terms of that foundational technological capability, that's where you're going to get that new killer app. You know, whether it's, and I hate to say it, AR, some form of AR that actually is practical and and valuable, and it can be widely consumed. That's what's going to drive the demands for 6G. And I think one of the things that, I mean, there's so much talk about 6G, is so misguided, it's like sickening. You know, the network never brought about the killer application. We talked about this last week, right? It's going to take FaceTime. It's going to take FaceTime, the next FaceTime, to blow things up. And
yes,
Apple is, you know, Rob, I'm glad you brought us down this path, because, you know, we're coming full circle with last week's episode. They have the potential of bringing about that next killer application. It's going to come from a company like Apple. It's not going to come from any operator sitting there thinking that, you know, investing in 6G is going to make them the next Apple. It doesn't work that way, you know. And so yeah, I think you're right, dude. In a lot of ways.
Leonard,
other than they're not going to share the stuff, because this is just incredible differentiation.
Leonard, start writing your next report right now.
I should, but I have too many other reports to write that I'm behind
on.
on.
This is the biggest one of your life. It is. You're welcome. Also,
no, you write it.
All right, I'll write it. What do we think about the next iPhone, the 14? Are we going to see some variation of an M chip in that?
Yeah, the M16.
M16,
which is cool. That's like the most killer assault rifle ever developed by the US military.
Is Apple gonna jump from the A chip to the M chip for iPhones? Maybe. I don't
Who
know.
knows? Yeah, I mean, because it would be kind of lame to say, hey, this is the M20.
Because we got the M chip and the iPad Pro.
Or, I mean, the A20, right? And
Yeah.
A really stands for that. It's kind of mixed up because in the military, A stands for assault aircraft, like the A10 Warthog. And M is for main battle tanks and assault rifles. I don't know why they brought that up, but
Thanks for bringing it home to the military, who's also going to be, hey, Tim Cook, these new hypersonic guided missiles that can fly around the whole planet really fast and blow up everybody. I'm going to need that M chip.
yeah. Well, we're gonna need this stuff in this. We got to ditch this HoloLens stuff. We need something a little bit more compact and more efficient.
Yeah.
like that dog-looking robot with a 50 cal on top of it.
Yikes!
It needs M1. We need that thing to be accurate.
Yes.
Like, please. That's a lot of firepower to go like, oops.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Stuff.
It's got to be. It reminds me of the movie Armageddon, when NASA said, yeah, we've been working on this drill and it keeps breaking down. And, Bruce Willis like, what, you guys, they just give you the key to the patent office? These are my designs. So I can imagine the government building new tech based on M1. And Tim Cook's like, what, did someone just give you the keys to our R&D? Yeah, kind of.
Yes. We made you. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Man.
Avionics, aircraft systems, chips are everywhere.
Look at this guy. He has
Chips are everywhere.
So many aspirations for a chip that he doesn't even own.
I'm a believer.
You're a believer.
Yes.
You're a believer. I mean, yeah.
You know that Rob bought like 252,000 shares of Apple about 53 minutes ago, right?
Yes. I dumped everything else and I'm all in with Apple again. Again.
Oh,
yeah.
Man. No.
Watch out. And watch. And absolutely. But just in our tiniest baby steps today, what are your predictions on MacBook market share versus other laptops in the next year or two?
I think it's going to stay about the same.
You think it'll stay the same? What are they at? 10? Are they at 10%?
It's like 13%-ish.
Okay. Yeah.
As a brand, they're one of the top brands. But in terms of moving the needle on PCs, I mean, keep in mind, I think it'll take. They'll never, and I don't think they ever really want to take dominant market share. It's not something that they need. Their whole thing is, I think, just about getting as much value per unit from the customer, and a lot of it, that premium pricing, that works in their favor from a financial perspective. That keeps the shareholders happy. But think about it, man. This is a company that's often told, Wall Street to go screw themselves, because they don't get it. And this is a perfect example of how Wall Street doesn't understand this tectonic shift that's happening in up and down the stack. They're focusing on the silicon. It's like, no, dude, this is all the way up the friggin' stack. It's like, if you understand how integrated this company is from, in their products, and then the service portfolio, this goes all the way up and wide. And that's great for anyone who does Apple stuff. And for the rest of the industry, they have to pick up the scraps, because Apple will take profit share. They don't care. I mean, think about it. They have small market share in most markets that they play in, but they take all the profit. That's not monopoly. That's just and that's not marketing. Marketing can't get you that. You have to deliver crazy good stuff. Period. People are not stupid, right? The rest of the market has to figure out, how do we survive? Meaning, how do we deal with increasingly compressed margins? Because Apple, which does what it does, you can't really do anything about it, is sucking all the oxygen out of the room, and just leaving us with like the non-premium stuff.
Isn't it annoying that they're just so freaking awesome?
There's no way to explain it. It's very complicated though. It's just the amount of studying these guys do and the foresight is just, I mean, honestly, I've been covering Apple for a long time. It's just freaky. It really is. It's freaky.
Yeah.
Well, and it's good that you said freaky because Halloween is coming and we're probably at the top of the hour. See what I did there?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. I'm trying to keep it PG, dude.
Yeah.
Trying to keep it PG.
I did. Halloween is coming.
It is.
Freaky Halloween.
Freaky.
Spooky.
Yeah.
Not that. Yeah. No. Just Halloween freaky.
No
Super
murdering
freaky.
up in here, man.
No. Just regular spooky.
Except for Rob, he's been murdering us this whole time, this whole hour.
Carpet bombs.
With his wisdom, carpet bombing us, just blowing us to pieces, brother.
And I'm gonna put a price tag on this carpet bombing. I'm gonna say that it's worth about, I don't know, $10 million. So everybody Venmo me the $10 million for the carpet bombs of wisdom that I dropped on you today. Because
it's just so ludicrous.
Otherwise, you're just a squirrel trying to get a nut. Okay.
It's clearly brie time, baby. You're talking Gorgonzola when it's clearly brie time, baby.
Exactly. That's what I would never say. Absolutely. Yeah. For shizzle. You're right.
For shizzle.
Yeah. No, it's going to be great because a hologram of Steve Jobs is going to come out in a future Apple event when he's like, oh, and there's one more little thing.
Yeah.
The Apple M Cloud. Boom. Buy it today. Order it today, and we'll deliver it to you next Monday.
Via Amazon.
Via Amazon. Yeah.
On a drone drop.
On a drone drop.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. No.
You know what? I think this is one of those. This one's going to age very well. We're going to pull this thing, 50, and we're like, told you. I mean, just like there it is.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I mean, but that's the way with a lot of our episodes. Actually, when I listen back, I go, "Oh crap, we were talking about that back then."
Yeah.
So, I mean,
and we are not financial advisors. So whatever, if you thought we said for you to buy a certain stock, we didn't actually say that. You need to talk to your fiduciary or whatever first.
Specifically, if you're coming to us for financial advice, we also recommend therapy. Don't no financial advice from here. Really.
Yeah. You know what? Speaking of therapy, to go to a different platform here, I've gotten a lot of good therapy from playing Animal Crossing on the Switch.
Yeah.
It's really mellow. It's really calm.
Man.
Oh.
It's not about getting hit by cars. How's that mellow?
There's no getting hit by cars in Animal Crossing.
Oh.
Also, folks,
Nintendo.
Wait a second. Wait for it. You're like, how is it that Rob already has the Switch OLED?
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Actually, I was wondering, why are there so many fingerprints on your screen?
Yeah. Yes. The Switch OLED.
Nice screen.
It's amazing. Yeah. It's way bigger than the original Switch. It's gorgeous. Just beautiful screen. Bluetooth, so I can use my AirPods to connect to this thing.
When you're on
with noise canceling. So like when I was flying back and forth to Vegas this last weekend, I was totally Mr. Animal Crossing. I was pulling weeds and selling those for money. I was fishing with my fragile fishing pole made out of a stick. What? I also caught insects with my fragile little net thing, and then I sell those. You guys all know this. Everybody plays Animal Crossing, right?
Oh, you sell weed?
But I did download Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, and it is very scary because I skipped like 10 years of that game. It's scary.
Yeah.
Watch out, folks.
All right. Okay, next week we're cutting Rob off from the coffee.
Yeah, you should cut me off because you don't want to make any money. Yeah, you should do that. Yeah, I get it.
Oh, so ridiculous. Okay, this was really fun. All right, who wants to take us out?
If you want to learn,
Time to end this party.
If you want to learn, if you want to get the big wisdom that's going to change your life, maybe financially or otherwise, or what you're doing, your R&D, you might need to completely pivot because of what you hear here. Listen to IoT Coffee Talk. Go to www.iotcoffeetalk.com. It will redirect you to a YouTube page, and you'll see all these amazing videos. You get to see these good-looking folks here. So much awesomeness. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Check us out. We're doing this thing every week. We've been doing this thing for a long time, just dropping wisdom on you. We really could change the course of your career. Hopefully you don't get fired. But anyway, check us out. Listen to us on Spotify and all those other places, you know, and maybe you'll be listening to us on an Apple product through an M1 variation of an M1 chip. You know, I don't know. Yeah, lots of love, all that good stuff too. Sorry if we threw any of the competitors to Apple under the bus today. We are just helping you, actually. It's like, help me help you.
Forget about them.
Yeah, exactly.
Focus on your game. It's like golf.
Yes, absolutely. Focus on your golf game now.
There's nothing you can do about Tiger Woods.
Exactly. And so everybody, thanks for joining us. We're all looking forward to the new Apple public cloud, Apple Gear and telecom stuff to get us to 6G, Apple cars, Apple everything. It's a quantum leap forward. And thank you so much. And we're out.
Peace.
Wow, that was really long. All right, bye everyone.